Hi everybody, welcome back to E3D Designs, and today we're going to install everything in our carriage. Now this is going to be the hardest part of this upgrade, requires a lot of soldering, time, and patience. So collect yourself and then let's get started. Alright, so let's take a quick look at where you can go to get all the parts you'll need for this portion of the upgrade. I got everything from DigiKey. You'll need the plastic connectors. Today we're going to use the female side. Some people may argue, I guess, that this is the male side because it takes the male pins, but the other connector does plug into it, so I'm still going to say this is a female connector that uses male pins. Here's the male pins. I have a cheap crimping tool and did not have much luck installing these, so I cheated. I went out and I bought the pre-crimped 2-inch long leads. They'll run you about $6.79 for 10 of them. You're going to need at least 12 of the male, 12 of the female. I recommend just ordering 20 of one color because it gets way too expensive ordering all the different ones. I do a lot of these, so I did go through and find all the different colors. And then you'll need a roll of the ribbon cable. And that pretty much covers what we're going to get from DigiKey for this portion of the upgrade. Alright, so let's get started trimming all of our wires and attaching our leads to go into the connector. I've got all my leads laid out already. I've got 2 leads for the first heater cartridge and its matching thermistor, along with 2 leads for the layer cooling fan, 2 leads for the E3D heatsink cooling fan, and 2 more leads for the second thermistor and heater cartridge. Alright, so the easiest way to do this is going to be to go ahead and install the heat block in the carriage. First thing you notice, we want to make sure that we've got these wires set so we can bend them around to the back. Right now it's turned the wrong direction. I didn't tighten it up much to remember in the video. We're going to pull it out. Give it a twist so that the wires are going to be nicely bent back that direction. Tighten it back up a little bit. We'll tighten that up real tight before we finish. Now I'm going to very carefully bend these wires back towards the opening, like so. You're going to want to feed the wires through the hole first. Hardest part's getting them fitted the first time. Now as you can see, we won't need the wires any longer than this, and remember we've got a 2-inch lead. So I recommend just go ahead and cutting them flush with this for now. Now save all this extra wire, we're going to need it later. Set it aside. Go ahead and feed this back out. Now the nice thing is you know how long you need to cut the other one already. The other thing we need to figure out is how long we need to make the wires for the thermistor connector. Now in previous upgrades I've gone ahead and cut this off and soldered the lead straight to it. To be honest, that wire is so small, I think I'm going to try it a little different this time. So E3D gave us these leader wires for the thermistor. I'm just going to go ahead and cut off the last like 2 inches of that connector. Do whatever you want with the rest of this wire, we really don't need it. Cheers with that one. Okay, so now I get 2 connectors for our thermistors. Alright, so let's put this back in here. This time I'm going to feed the thermistor connector through. Alright, so once you have the hot end installed, make sure you've got nice clearance here around the edge. You might have to form the wires just a little bit. Feed your wires down through the holes right here. You see it comes out nice and neat. What we're going to do is we're going to trim our connectors or our leads about 1 inch long, and then we're going to strip this right here all the way up, and we'll solder and heat shrink this together right here and plug them into our connector. Go ahead and pull the hot end back out. Use your wire strippers or your razor knife or whatever you're going to use to strip your wires. And just pick a side we're going to work on here. Go ahead and use the green ones for this one. Didn't worry about colors, differentiation between the heater cartridges and the thermistors because polarity does not matter. We're going to cut this at about 1 inch. Cut the other one to match. Carefully strip off about 1/4 inch. These down to about the same. Try not to mess up because while you're cutting so close to that insulation, you really don't have much give to do it again. We're going to solder these together. Now if you don't have any, I recommend getting a set of helping hands. It makes it a whole lot easier. One lead soldered on. And 2 leads. Cut ourselves heat shrink about 3/4 of an inch. I try to actually get this to go over top of the red insulation, and then alright, so that's the heater cartridge wires set up with their pins. Go ahead and repeat on the other side. Our 2 orange leads. Alright, now we've got to do the same thing with our thermistor. We have our nice little leads here. We can pretty much judge how long this needs to be from these. Go ahead and leave about 1/2 inch on each of these. And we're going to take half the insulation off of that. That takes care of our thermistor lead and our heater cartridge connectors. Now we just have to do the exact same thing for the other side. Alright, now we need to trim the connector off of our fan so that we can put leads onto it to mount into the connector. So we need to install the fan so we can pre-position it to trim the wires and hook them up into the connector. So you want to mount the fan with the sticker facing the heatsink. I recommend putting the wires in the top right corner. You don't really need to secure it in place as much as you just need to set it there. Now we're going to tuck these wires down along the side of the heatsink here. You can see it, how they go right down along the side there. Then we'll run our connector through. Now you can see how much distance we need. We grab our leads. We can probably trim an inch off of our leads and just cut it right at the top of the connector. We should be pretty good. That takes care of the fan. The only thing left is a connector for our cooling layer fan. Now I go on eBay and I buy these big packs of JST connectors. We're just going to pick one or the other, really doesn't matter which. Only thing I'll say is if you do a bunch of printers, make sure you do it the same way every time so your cooling fans are interchangeable. And looking at my other printers, the lead needs to be about this long total. I'm going to come out of here, plug into another connect. It's going to come out of the connector, plug into right here. So we'll go ahead and take off about that much. Alright, so now it's time to assemble the carriage. Go ahead and put our fan on first. Again, making sure to put the sticker toward the heatsink. And the wires coming out in the top right corner. Use the 2 screws that E3D provided. Okay, so the fan's in place. Feed your wires through the hole, making sure that they're tucked down along the side of the heatsink. Okay, so my shop teacher always told me measure twice, cut once. Apparently I didn't listen. I've had to spin my fan 180 from where I would tell you guys to put it to get the wires down to this corner because, well, I cut them too short. So if you were watching my video, add just a little bit more length on those, or spin it like I just did. Okay, so we've got the fan in there. Go ahead and put in one of our hot ends. You need to get that thermistor plug going in first. Now at this point, which is where you need to go ahead and put on your thermoconductive paste. Now E3D gives you this nice little packet of white thermoconductive paste. I prefer Arctic Silver 5. So far with my testing, I haven't found any reason that this doesn't seem to work better. Smear it on there really good. All the way around. Does not take much. Once you've got it coated, go ahead and slide that down in there. I recommend for the time being bottoming it out. And grab your small Allen wrench that they gave you, stick it in through these holes on the side, and just snug the 2 set screws to hold it in place. Okay, something I noticed during assembly, I have a slight error in my file. I just adapted this for the new wider carriage and realized that these heat blocks are bumping these corners just a little bit. So if you've already printed your carriage, you can just shave some of this corner out, get a nice angle like that right there, and then your heat block will clear. Make sure you leave enough room to also get the sock down around it as well. There we go. Push her in there nice and square. All the way down. Snug. And snug. Now actually, if you look here, heater cartridges are touching. So we need to loosen these back up and push them out just a little bit so that you're not right up against each other. Just going to leave my flathead screwdriver in there as a spacer until I snug these back up. Pull it out and then tighten these up nice and tight. Alright, so now we have all the parts in. Now we just have to hook them all up to our connector. Remember your connector, if you can see it, has this tiny little tab on it here. It's designed to go on the outside edge of this, right here on this outside notch. Now depending on how good your printer is, that might not have come out. Nothing a needle file can't fix. Magic of movies. I've already filed all mine out to make sure the plug goes in nice and neat. So I plugged my 2 heater cartridges on the outside 2 pins. We're going to start and work our way across. Yeah, here we go. Now these pins have a little groove in them right across the top where they're kind of separated. Inside the connector, you will see a tiny little notch down at the bottom. That groove needs to slide over that notch. Alright, so while editing the video, I realized you guys really couldn't see me inserting all the pins. So I'm going to try and give you just an up-close view here. Basically the way I did it was I started on one side and I inserted the 2 heater cartridge pins on the first 2 pins. Then I inserted the first thermistor cartridge pins on the next 2 pins. You've got 2 pins somewhere you can leave empty. I would recommend you use the next 2 pins to put in your cooling layer fan pins, keeping track as to where the positive and negative are. skip 2 pins, then put in the 2 pins for your heat sink fan. Once again, remembering where your positive and negative are. Then do your other thermistor cartridge on the next 2 pins, and on the last 2 pins you would have your other heater cartridge. So basically, heater cartridges on the outside, thermistors, fans, empty space. Alright, so that wraps up installing our hot end into our carriage. Next episode, we're going to go ahead and put this in the chassis of the printer, so you'll need some JB Weld and those 4 brass bushings that we took out of the old carriage. So, if you like what I'm doing, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, give me a thumbs up, and remember, if it ain't broke, upgrade it. See you next time.